Good evening, welcome to Deaf Discussion. This is episode 518, and today we have the Bradburys on, Jackie and Kevin. And apparently it's been 4 years, but I lost track. So we'll get more information on that and what's been going on the last 4 years. But if I'm not mistaken, anniversary for their school opening. But again, it's all blur, 518 episodes. So without further ado, here we go. If you're watching, tell us where you're watching from, smash that like button, and without further ado, here they are. Hey there, guys.
Hey guys.
So, how are you guys doing?
Doing great. Wonderful. It's good to be back with you. And it has been 4 years, almost 4 years. It's funny, today is September 1st, and this is our exact 4-year anniversary of our school. So it's kind of fun to talk to you on this day.
So 4 years to where like an actual brick and mortar?
Yes. We through a weird amount of circumstance, but we formally opened our doors, signed our lease and opened our doors on September 1st, converting over from a meetup in the park to a meetup that was meeting at another martial arts school, to where we felt big enough to take the risk during COVID was still happening to smartly open up a Filipino martial arts majority school, brick and mortar, in the middle of a place where there isn't a lot of Filipino martial arts.
That's like
some people say it's not the brightest thing to do in the world, but we're here 4 years later, doing really well, actually. So we're
suicide.
thrilled to survive.
But no, that's great. Yeah, I remember it was wow. I had a 10-year plan, opened school in 2002, and I said I would sell it by 2012, and I did. But when I was opening in 2002, I was doing MMA and FMA, and the majority of it was kids. I converted from Taekwondo, and everybody's saying, like, you're nuts. It's going to fail. You're not going to. And 150 students later, 3 satellites. So it can be done. You know what I mean? It's not easy, but it can be done. So so you were parked, and then you said you were kind of subletting of another place or working in concert with another place?
Yeah, so we moved here to Kansas City from Texas in 2018. Really, within a couple of weeks of being here, we started our meetup. Originally, it was just me and him in the park, and then we got a few more people training with us. And then after meeting folk here in town, we were graciously hosted as a meetup at another martial arts school. And they hosted us until we were able to get to a point where we could open up the school. So it was really kind of them to do that. But we did have to meet on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. to make that happen. And that's an unusual time, but it was enough to get us built to where we are now, which is kind of funny to think of how many classes a week we have now. I'd have to count it up. It's almost every day. The only day we don't train is on Fridays, typically. So some days we have twice a day. So we just opened up this summer, just started our lunchtime Arnie's program aimed at people working second and third swing shift. And that is slowly growing. And some of our existing students were able to increase their attendance based on having a daytime program versus only night and weekends.
So do you keep it just mostly modern centric?
We don't teach anything other than Filipino martial arts. So all we are teaching is we teach what we call process harness, which is probably all of my Komaton brothers and sisters who are watching this who know us are going, yeah, they teach modern harness. It's mostly modern harness, and we consider we do the modern harness forms. Modern harness is the bread and butter of what we do, and that's the only thing we teach. We don't teach anything else.
So within that, so like, okay, so you're just doing all your classes are geared modernese, methodology, curriculum, et cetera, et cetera. Wow. So then, so
That's absolutely.
so with that being said, are you just basically mostly stick kind of oriented, or do you touch upon other weapons and etc.?
Oh, we do touch upon other weapons. We actually have one class a month where we really go and we more deep dive into Bankauer or staff and into Tabaktayak or what our friends would call nunchucks. We do delve into those weapons as well. And then it's not unusual in a regular class to pull out things like, of course, we do knife. Of course, we do empty hand. That's just normal for modernities. But we also we have hatchets. We are actually getting ready the second week of September. Every class will have a portion where we call Improvised Weapons Week, where people bring things from their everyday life that wouldn't be called a weapon, that you could take it on a plane in an elementary school, federal courthouse. And we talk about ways to take what we learn in modern armies and utilize those tools in a self-defense scenario.
Nice. I don't think improvised weapons get enough due. So, especially the ones that are legally defensible. And
yeah, it's something it's something very deep in our DNA, especially with the influence that we have from Hochheim. It's something that we explicitly look at. It's not just a suggestion. So
actually, let's touch upon that for the folks maybe who didn't see your first one and all that. So let's touch upon again your background. What was it you guys actually trained in besides Marner and Nice?
Well, we started originally in a version of Taekwondo down in Mississippi. We were doing that for a few months before a guy named David Jones walked in and handed us a stick. David was a student of Bruce Chu, and so David's really the one that got us started on it. As soon as we got introduced to that, we fell in love with it. Now, while we were with David, we also trained in Ryukyu Kempo Karate, and I was still training in that version of Taekwondo. And then when we were in Texas, we trained a little bit of Taekwondo also. But other than that, we're pretty much exclusively FMA. Jackie did, has a black belt in Kobudo, so she did the Okinawan weapons. So that's kind of her area of expertise here at this school. But we trained under Hochheim was a big influence on our teacher, and therefore a big influence on us. The way our teacher taught us Precious Arnice down in Texas, Mark Lynn. And but yeah, it's pretty much just been FMA.
I think if you were to ask us, what do we consider our art? What is our thing? It's modern Arnice.
Yeah. No. So Mark Lynn, that name, I've heard the name's come up before. So he was was he directly under Remy at some point?
He had his first degree black belt test with Remy, but he's kind of a Hawk guy. He also trained with Great Grandmaster Ernesto, went to a lot of combatant camps, earned combatant rank under Great Grandmaster as well. And right now, not only has that, but he cross trains in just about everything. He is a eternal student. And so he's trained with another instructor that Kevin's had the opportunity to.
Grandmaster Art
Merflor in Marirata Eskrima. That's a Stockton person. And then also Mark is currently training with Gat Puno Bayet as well. And that's been a big influence on him. Not so much on us. We are still pretty much very well grounded in the Precious Brothers systems.
So Hawk, if I'm not mistaken, I interviewed him, again, it was years ago, but I think he also, he did a lot of time with Remy as well, correct?
So Hawk, he first started training under Remy, and then somebody told him about Remy's brother, so he started checking out Ernesto as well. I don't think there were a whole lot of people that trained under both brothers while they were both alive. Hawk was one of them. And now Hawk had been in martial arts for a long time prior to meeting them. So it wasn't his only FMA influence. But when you look at his curriculum and the things that Hawks teaches, Remy and Ernesto are obviously a very big influence on his FMA system.
So just maybe for the folks who don't know, what's kind of the difference between the two?
That's a great question. Okay, from our personal experience and perspective, it's really not necessarily a matter of content difference. It's a matter of transmission difference. A professor developed his art in the Philippines, came to the United States, and did it in very much in a seminar format. And so the way he had to deliver his and transmit his art was very different than the way Great Grandmaster Ernesto, who built a school and did it in that kind of a school structure. And so it's very laid out. It's got a very well organized curriculum. And to me, that's the major difference between the two. There are things that we practice here that are drills that are from Combatan that we feel like are good for us because we are in a school. And some of those drills bring out certain attributes that we really like. And we find that really useful and helpful for our students. But I wouldn't say content-wise, it's radically different at all. There's just kind of two different perspectives on similar concepts, I guess is the easy way to put it.
There's probably a lot of modernist and Combatan people would totally disagree with that statement.
Yeah, they're probably going to come for us, but that's just my personal experience.
We know that there's Combatan people that think of us as modernist people and modernist people that think of us as Combatan, and we're okay with that either way.
Yeah, we had nothing but love and respect for both arts fully and people who practice both. So.
100%.
Yeah, the community loves to put you into a box. No, they're this. No, they're that.
Well, that's one of the things that wasn't that one of the educational aspects weren't really anticipated when we started school was in an FMA community, we're all hyper aware of the different styles and subsystems and, which grandmasters which and all of that. The average person isn't. And so, probably 80% of the people that came to this school just wanted to learn Filipino martial arts. They just wanted to learn Kali or Eskrima. And they had no idea which style is which. And they honestly didn't care, And so there's this part where you have to educate them on, who the Precious Brothers were. You have to educate them on, we encourage our students to train as much as they can in any system that they can, because it'll only make them better. So, if they want to cross train in another style, that's fine. Go for it. But we had to really take on an educational piece of it to let people know what the different styles were, who the big grandmasters were. And of course, you can't do everybody justice. There's just too many good people out there. But that was the surprising piece. And there's a lot of adults who out there who actually do want to train Filipino martial arts. And we've had so many times people come in. It's like, I'm so happy I found you guys because I've been wanting to train Filipino martial arts for a long time. They didn't say modernist. They didn't say Combatan. They just said Filipino martial arts.
Yeah.
The audience is out there. And if you promote it and you really, focus on that audience, it's there.
Oh, yeah.
And they will love to have a place to come and train.
And they'll drive to do it. Our town is not a huge city, but it's big enough. And we have people driving 45 minutes to an hour to train with us because we have the right schedule and they found us. And, they like the community we've built. They like the information they're getting. And people will travel if it's worth their effort. Sure. And we tried really hard to make it worth their effort.
And our school is the vast majority of our students are adults, not children.
Yeah, we do have a small family class. When we started, we thought we'd have a much bigger family program or kids program, and we just discovered that's just not true for us. And so we are probably 85% adults.
In the family class, the parents, a parent has to train with the kid.
Yeah.
They have to do it together. And for some parents, they love it because they want to do, especially dads, they want to do some activity with their kids that they'll both, and they love having this opportunity to do it. And we actually, the majority of the child students are female. Dads doing it with their daughters.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
Wow, that's special. So I would have never get 85 versus 15%. I would have said, if you had asked me beforehand, I would have said it would have been the opposite. So, I mean, that's pretty remarkable.
Well, that's what we thought it was going to be too.
Yeah.
We thought we were going to have this big group of kids to support an adult program. And as time went by, we found we were struggling actually to build a kids program. Meanwhile, we just kind of kept adding more adults.
Yeah.
We had people who started with a family class and then their kids stopped coming and the dad kept coming.
They kept coming, right? It becomes a gateway drug for the adult program. Yeah. But, we have found that our ability to attract and retain adults is much easier. So you don't have to work so hard on lead generation for new students to come into the school, although we work hard on it. We don't have the turnover that kids programs have because, kids get bored or kids have a different competing sport or all those things that happen. So you have to constantly fill your white and yellow belts over and over and over again to get enough to have, more advanced material.
Whereas our adult program, our turnover is tiny.
Very low.
Tiny. People usually, if they leave, it's because they move far enough away. It's not feasible to come to class.
And a few times it was a couple times it was job conflict. Yeah. That's it. Once we get them in and we have them join our with a membership, they stay. And that's why we haven't grown exponentially. It's been a steady rise over time. And so while we do have some turnover, not a lot, it enables us to get to a point we stabilize. Then we get to a new point and we stabilize. And, we had 7 students training with us in the meetup who were training with us for free. All 7 joined the program. Of that 7, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 3 of them became black belts. A 4th one will be a black belt next year. And 2 of them moved, and 1 has a really crazy job. So, but they all went from free students to paying students, and of that group, we're going to get 4 black belts out of it, which is pretty great. We're pretty proud of that. Then, today we actually do have a satellite. One of our students is teaching a weekend class at our local Filipino Cultural Center. That class has in and out about 10 people or so in it. They're getting ready to do their first ranks because that's new in 2025.
Mostly adults.
Yeah, it's mostly adults. And so between that program, which we count as being in our lineage, as well as the people training here at our mother school, we have about 50 people training with us now.
Wow. And where are you located again?
We are in a suburb of Kansas City. It's a city called Gladstone. We're at, if you know anything about Kansas City, it's yet north of the river, south of the river. We're north of the river on the Missouri side. So, but we have people traveling from the Kansas side. We have people traveling from an hour north of us, an hour south of us, east and west. And we are pretty noisy, and we again, it's really hard to find anywhere locally, probably within an hour, 2 hours drive, where we can pretty much fit almost everybody's schedule. And we actually do have some remote students as well.
We had a guy who was bringing his kids to us, and I asked him, I said, well, why are you, because he lived an hour away.
He lives an hour away. They're coming back this month.
And I said, well, why are you bringing your kids all the way out here? And he goes, because this is the only place we can do Filipino martial arts. And I want my kids, so he's part Filipino. He's like, I want my kids to learn Filipino martial arts. And so we have parents bring, whose children are, part Filipino, that they bring their kids to us to train because they want them to learn the Filipino martial arts. We have adults who were born here in the USA, but their parents are from the Philippines and they want to learn Filipino martial arts. The Filipino diaspora is huge across the United States, and they're there, and a lot of times they kind of feel, like isolated, like they don't have a great connection to, their culture, and so that be able to teach Filipino martial arts and them have a place to go to learn this stuff means a lot to them.
No, I was just out there. I had no idea you guys were in Kansas City. I have 2 students. One lives in Kansas City, Kansas, and one lives in Kansas City, Missouri. The barbecue is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But
next time you're here, let us know.
Yeah, for sure. We'll feed you.
But I probably will be going back out there now that I know that you guys are out there. But they said it because I said because they're doing knife with me, but not from just an FMA lens. And I say, hey, well, by the way, don't you guys looked at any FMA schools around here? And they kind of said it, and they said we don't know of any. And I was like, in Kansas, I was like, wow.
Yeah, it can be. I bet if they were to Google any of the basic keywords for Filipino martial arts, we'll be in the top 2. That's pretty much how we show up now.
There are other people teaching other styles in the greater Kansas City area.
And we're friendly with a lot of them.
I only know one that is teaching out of a brick and mortar school, but I mean, his school is primarily a version of karate, and he also teaches his FMA style. But he's a little further out from downtown Kansas City than we are. And then we've got friends who teach various styles, in the area. But they have smaller training groups, or they teach in a park or something like that. But they are out there. It's just, as far as I know, other than our one friend in Leavenworth, we're the only school where it's in a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
And this is full time. So with our schedule, if you got unlimited membership, you could literally come and train 6 days a week.
Yeah, it's a commitment. I remember being play 6. I mean, it's you're married to it. You know what I mean? It's And what's interesting, because I forget what show it was. I think we were trying to, as far as just U.S. wide, I think around, not an exact number, but it was around, like, I think it was below 20 as far as actual brick and mortar, not secondary tertia, not working out of somebody's church or a park. I mean, like, you actually, and the majority of your classes were FMA. I think it was under 20.
I'd love to see your list. My list is in North America, so that includes Canada, as far as I know. Brick and mortar, primarily Filipino martial arts. There's 9 that I know of.
I just did US, and but it was, now, mind you, when I did the poll,
not many.
When I did the poll, I made it very clear as far as the criteria. You teach mostly FMA. You are not subletting. You're not teaching at somebody's house or there. Like, you actually got a location that you go to. Majority of classes are FMA.
Community center, anything like that.
Came in the teens, but is that true? You know what I mean?
I think there's this perception out there that you can't have an FMA school. I actually once heard on somebody say on a podcast they didn't think it was possible to have a commercial FMA school, and maybe it's because for a lot of people they did pick up FMA as a secondary art, that they picked up going to seminars, but they had a. But we found, like I said, there's a lot of adults that want to learn this. There's a lot of adults who want to do a martial art, but they don't necessarily want to do Krav Maga or BJJ. Not that there's anything wrong with those arts, it's that they're not for everybody. And we have a surprising mix of people here at this school. We have people who this is the only martial arts that they've ever done, and then we have people who've literally done other martial arts for 3 decades. And now this is their first chance to they always wanted to study a Filipino martial art, and this was their opportunity.
Yeah. And the cool thing too is that, we are, not only are we a brick and mortar, but we wear traditional uniforms most of the time. Summertime, it's a little different because it gets warm, but we wear belts. We have all of the accoutrement of a regular martial arts school, a commercial martial arts school in the United States. And people, I think there's a popular, and I would call it a misconception out there, that adults don't want those things, that it turns adults off. And I don't think that's true. In fact, I found it to be a little bit different, especially within Filipino martial arts, because I think one of the things that makes it an acceptable middle class activity, which is what most people want it to view it as, you have your uniforms and your belts, and all everybody lines up to smile on test day. It's a normalizing thing that makes it right up there with all the other martial arts from various cultures, and that's part and parcel of being modern, Arnie's.
So on the uniform thing, it seems like, over the past 20 years, everybody's moved more and more away from doing any kind of a traditional uniform. It's, gi pants, a t-shirt, and that's fine. And I understand why some people,
which is a uniform, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
That's everybody uniform.
But like the more traditional martial arts uniform, when we first opened, we're getting ready to open the school, and we were discussing the whole uniform thing. We were talking with one of our students, and we asked what his opinion was. And, he said he spent 4 years in high school wearing a football uniform, and then 7 years in the military wearing a uniform. And then after that, he got out of the military, he was an MC, and he wore a uniform in the MC. And he goes, uniforms matter. Uniforms make you feel like you belong to something. And it was just kind of like that. All right, we're doing uniforms then. And we never looked back. We've had no pushback on it. I got one person that we don't require to wear a uniform, and that's because he spent enough of his life in a uniform, and even he still mostly complies, so we don't care.
Yeah.
So I think that this, like Jackie said, this notion that people are going to be like, I don't want to put on pajamas,
Yeah.
Okay, I get why some people might feel that way.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, we really have not had that much pushback against it.
And our guys have to buy their uniform, because most of the time our introductory offer is people get to train for 2 weeks unlimited, just to try out every class that we have to find out which night works for them. But that includes their first pair of rattan sticks. So they got to buy their uniforms, and it's not cheap because they are not all matchy match. We have a different colored jacket than pants because we weren't thinking about that when we opened. So they have to buy them, and there's no pushback at all. Everybody's been good with it, and people we actually go on a uniform hiatus between Memorial Day and Labor Day. So tomorrow we're starting back with uniforms, and people are like, okay, let's go.
I mean,
make sure I've got it.
That just means we're not wearing the hot jacket and the belt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
We chose pants with pockets, which is convenient because you got a place to put your training knife.
Yeah, there you go. Oh my gosh. So all right, so far as I guess your class, you're open every day with the exception of Friday. So what does a typical Monday through Thursday look like?
Well, on Mondays and Wednesdays, we have our lunchtime Arnie's, which is a class that I take. We typically have between 3 to 4 people for that class. And then Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, we have our normal adult class, which are an hour and a half long. Our classes for adults are 1.5 hours. And depending on who's there, we use what we call a modified rotating curriculum. And so depending on who's there, will help us decide which path we're going in terms of the material that we've planned to teach. Sometimes we have to remind everybody. Sometimes we have just people in the beginner level and people in advanced level, that we'll split them. It really kind of depends on what's going on each night. We don't have the same people attend every single night, so it's kind of fluctuates. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and actually Saturday as well for the adults, we have our family class. Family class is about an hour long. We go over the material. Most of our students are beginner and intermediate levels, so we go over beginner and intermediate level material. And then we always end our family class with some sort of a martial arts game. They love to do pool noodle sparring is kind of the favorite activity. And so we have a pool noodle sparring rule set. That is their introduction to stick sparring. And then on Sunday mornings, we have a kind of an open mat kind of thing. And really it exists because that was our old meetup time. It's kind of nostalgic for us. And then on Fridays, we take a nap.
Yeah. So,
and then we have seminars about 4 times a year.
Yeah, 4 to 6.
So how many classes like during the week? So would take into account the adults and kids. So you're running about 2 classes a day, generally speaking, or more.
Yeah, 2 classes a day on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Yes, so that's 5 days that we have 2 classes a day between adults and kids. So that would be 10 classes a week, and then Sunday would be 11. So that would be 11 classes a week.
And the kids,
And then we do have some students that are remote or we're doing private lessons
okay,
with
right.
too as well.
And
So
your kids' class, how long you run that for?
it's about an hour. It'll just do it typically like 55 minutes or so.
After that, I know. No, I remember the kids' day.
It's about as long as you
can. Like 50 minutes.
But it works out good.
Time
I
goes.
know. But having that last 5 to 7 minutes of martial games, they all look forward to being able to do that. And so I think that's always the family class can be a lot of fun.
I bet it is. I mean, I think that's great that you guys are doing that. I mean, not just for potential enrollment.
Oh, I should add, we don't teach kids younger than 8.
Oh, you don't take younger than 8.
So I don't have like a little.
Have you considered it?
No, there's been a rare exception to that rule. Yeah, there's a rare exception to that rule, but generally speaking, kids need to be 8 years old. We do have one who is 7, but she was with her family, so that's acceptable, and she works. She does fine. But if a kid's 7-ish, we'd have to try them out and see if they can fit or not. Doing what we do, it's required that kids are able to follow directions,
self-regulate at least a little bit, yeah,
and be safe. That's not safe for them to run around with sticks.
Wow, that was my favorite group. Was the 5 and 6-year-olds. I taught those. A couple 4.5s that were just exceptional as far as, just listening and being attentive. I'm not saying they were a dime a dozen. There were, a few, but the little kids those were my favorites. But I could see why.
We had a couple of girls that were almost like savants. They caught on so fast. You could teach them anything. You start teaching them black belt drills, and they could just follow along and do exactly. They were just sponges for information.
Yeah. But I could see why.
But usually, you don't have children. Them don't stick around for a real long time.
What do you, as far as the kids, are you using soft sticks?
No, we use rattan. Why would
I'm sorry, but I mean for drilling.
Anything other than rattan? We just use shorter sticks.
I had my kids.
No, we use rattan. We use rattan just like they do.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have a 26-inch long, 3/4-inch diameter sticks.
Kid sticks are 24. They're 24-inch, but they're 24-inch rattan. Yeah, it's safer because we have found that padded weapons make them more reckless, and they don't respect the weapon well enough. And when they have rattan, it feels like something that could be a problem, so they pay closer attention.
I found wow.
So that's
I
why
had the opposite experience. I used Action Flex for my kids because I was running an ATN's pilot program and they were sparring.
Mm-hmm.
The adults, the moment they got the soft stick, I found them were just like no range, attention, no discipline. So to me, it was actually the opposite. So, that's funny.
Well, I mean, if we're sparring, we would have the kids use soft sticks, but for all the other drills, they're using rattan.
Everything else is
and with sparring is probably like the trickiest thing in the world with FMA because you can't do realistic sparring. If you have on hockey gloves and a helmet, that's not realistic. You'll take risks that you otherwise would not take if you knew you get smacked in the eyeball with a stick. So you behave differently. And if you go with the soft sticks, I mean, like the Action Flex, I think if you've been hit with one hard, they're not actually that soft. You can wallop somebody pretty good with an Action Flex stick. But the adults, if you don't put serious rails on it, and give them very specific objectives, it just turns into two people wildly swinging at each other. And that doesn't feel very productive.
No.
So when we do
Yeah.
use that we got the action flex with adults, we do very specific scenarios with very specific goals so they can go faster, harder, without risking injury. But as far as like, we don't get out the kendo armor and use rattan and hockey gloves and just wail on each other either.
Yeah. So how many belts you got? Like what's the ranking sequence?
Well, it's funny because I'm so ambivalent when it comes to belts and ranking. We have 6 belts before black. And really, we have 3 curriculum levels: beginner, intermediate, advanced. And, it's 2 belts per rank, and really it's just to help measure the progress through the rank because it's a little long. And so it's there to just help people go, oh, okay, I'm making progress. Because, and this is the one benefit of ranks, whatever method you use, is that it helps a student see their progress, because you can't see it the way an instructor can see it. We never are good judges of our own progress, pro or con. We're either too hard on ourselves or we overinflate our skill set, and that's why we need instructors. And so it's just a measuring tool. They kind of go through our curriculum. So we have a total of 6, 2 belts per rank before Lacan Dayan-Nisa. So
okay, and that goes for kids as well, adults, kids, same format. Okay.
Yeah, the big difference with kids is that we don't go in deeply into the knife or blade curriculum with them.
Thing.
And there's certain skill sets that they're just not physically able to do very well. And so it, again, depends on the kid, but generally speaking, most of our kids we haven't had a very robust kids program. The highest ranking kids we've had have been in our intermediate. We haven't had any make it to advanced just yet. So we're still working our way through.
What are you doing for more attempts to get more kids? Assuming that's something you want to do.
Honestly, we're not. Huh? I'll be honest with you, we're not. Now we do some, like if you look at our website and some of our marketing, you'll see kids and families. We market our family program versus a kids program. And, it's out there. We own all the keywords, but in search, but generally speaking, it's not a big goal of ours to grow the family program so much. We have found for us, our sweet spot is adults. We have a wide range of adults, from teenagers all the way to people in their mid-70s, all training together. And we find that has worked for us. So one of the things that's helped us grow outside of just our marketing efforts is we've had plenty of referral students. Our students referring other students, adults referring other adults. That's working out really well for us. So we are happy to have our sweet spot be in our adult program versus our family program.
And there's a lot of martial arts schools very near here, of different styles that have very robust kids programs. And if you were just looking for a martial arts program for little Johnny, go check those guys out. One of those will be a good fit for you. The people we have kids here is because their parents wanted them to do Filipino martial arts, not just generic, all-purpose, whatever martial art.
And that's worked really well for us, really leaning deeply into, we teach Filipino martial arts. It's, and we tried some other approaches, and I know it's worked well for other people. So it's not saying it can't work for other people. It's just for us, trying to think about it in terms of Filipino karate, or, trying to lean more heavily into the empty hand side for a kids program. We've tried all those things, and honestly, it just didn't work out well for us. And we felt like, why compete in an area that isn't our strength?
And for the effort that it takes to market to get, say, 4 kids who may be with you for 6 months,
a year,
and you got to buy uniforms, and you're constantly ordering and that sort of thing, versus you get one adult who is going to be with you for the next 5 years.
Longer. I mean, we have people now who've been with us since 2018.
Yeah, and you have less turnover. You don't have the expenses associated with the turnover from just the pure business side of it. But then the other thing that you get is you get community. And a lot of people are actually looking for that. They don't want just a place to go do a thing and then leave. Part of it is that social aspect. And you get that when you have people stick around. And so it is an important part of what we market. If you look at like our social media, there's actually not a lot of Kevin and Jackie on it. Mm-hmm. It's mostly our students, pictures and videos of our students, so that people go look at our social media. Hopefully they'll see somebody like themselves doing it, and they'll go, well, if that person can do it, maybe I can do it too.
Yeah.
And we had, I just recently had somebody say that they had been following us on social media for like a year. And finally somebody said, would you just go do a trial class already? And they did, and they joined. Mm-hmm. And they were, one of the things that they were really excited about was the fact that we have a sense of community here. When you're spending, if you come twice a week, that's 3 hours. So you spend 3 hours a week with somebody that you're swinging sticks at each other's heads. And you start to bond, because you have this strange thing that you do, which is swing sticks at each other's heads. Right. And inevitably you will make friends. We do twice a year, we do a day at the range where we go to the gun range and for the school, and we invite the students, and one of our students, his father's law enforcement. And so he helps train the people who have no training.
We have several certified instructors who are members of our school.
People get to learn and get to maybe have their first firearms experience in a safe environment with people that they know. And so for some people, this has been their first time ever shooting a gun, and we're happy to provide them with that experience. But one day we were doing a day at the range, and we were watching some of our students walking back from to grab their targets, and we were looking at them and going, these people were so radically different from each other that you can't imagine a scenario where they would have met each other any other way. And yet here they are walking side by side, talking and smiling and laughing. And the reason they came together is because they found this martial art that they all loved, and they continue to do it together. So that community aspect is really important.
Yeah, we spent a lot of thought and time and effort on community building in our school. I mean, we named it Kindred, right? We have, again, we do our very best to bring in the top instructors in modernities specifically, but others like combatant and related arts as much as we can. We bring them in. We have seminars, out-of-town seminars, 3 to 4 times a year. We put together our first camp this year. It was called Precious Family Fusion, where we had Bruce Chu with Modernities, Shelley Millspaw with Combatant, and then our teacher, Mark Lynn, who did both together, kind of riffing off of each other for a couple of days. And it was fabulous. It was so fun. And then we have a few other activities where it's a seminar, but we pull together donations for our local food bank. We do a first aid seminar, usually in February. It's like an emergency first responder kind of thing where, hey, guy just attacked you with a knife, you survived that encounter. Now you got to keep them breathing until the cops and the first responders arrive. That's the idea. And then we do one in the spring called Sinwali Fest, which is just me nerding out on Sinwali for 3 hours with my friends. And then we do one in November, the Saturday before Thanksgiving, that we call Knifesgiving. And Kevin teaches that one. And those are all for charity, all for pulling together food for the food bank. And so we make 3 pretty hefty donations to the food bank every year. And those are low cost. We've gotten a few new students out of those little events that we put on. And we found that really useful. And then we have a Halloween party where everybody dresses up. And then we do a really big holiday potluck every year. And, because we have lots of Filipinos in our school, it's a fantabulous potluck, I'll tell you that. So we try to think about all these community things to try to keep, doing it. It's more than just, trying to hit each other with objects. It really becomes a place of a bigger part of can be a bigger part of a person's life if they wish. And we have found that has been the glue that's kind of holding us all together.
Yeah, and I think with COVID, when that finally, well, I'm not gonna say it's completely ended, but where everybody was able to leave their house and all that. So I'm not surprised, what you guys are speaking on, as far as you're getting adults there and all that. I mean, I think there was a lot of, I can only speak for my head, but there was a lot of cabin fever going on. You know what I mean? So just to be able to go somewhere and do something new and be around with good people, and that sounds like it's obviously working out. What
Yeah, we're really grateful that we've have that sense of there's laughing and fun happening every class. So every class is happy. And that's really an important training goal of ours, because if you're not having
No,
fun doing it,
that makes it hard. Yeah, if you're not enjoying it, like anything else, right? So who are your current teachers? I mean, like you mentioned, so Bruce Chu, sounds like he's, yeah, Uncle
Mhm.
Bruce. I'm a big fan of,
Bruce is a
yeah,
big influence on us, always
yeah.
has been.
Uh,
Bruce from the beginning was a big influence on us. We will always consider Mark Lynn to be our primary teacher. We were just with him for so long.
And we get to see him every so often. He comes up here, so he's always wanting to say, "Try this. I just learned this from Puno Bayet," and it's like, "Okay, we'll see. We'll try that for a little bit." And he'll be up here probably for Art Miraflor.
And Mark introduced us to a lot of people like Dan Anderson, Dieter Knutel, and encouraged us to train every chance that we got. Mark and I trained under Art Miraflor together. And
Hawk's still a big influence
Hawk
on
is,
us.
always a huge influence on
And
us.
then, we've brought in so many instructors from our world that, all of them have had an impact here in our school. When we opened, when you take the risk, like we did, how we did, to open up a modern East school, which is basically what we are. You really discover, like, who in our community is really walking the talk, and really who isn't. And we were really gratified that people that we didn't know personally, we'd never met in person, reached out to help us. And one of those is Brian Zwolinski, and he's going to be here in December. So we'll be hosting him for the first time. And he didn't know us from Adam, and he reached out and said, "How can I help?" And here's a case of pink books that I have in my garage. At least I can do something. And all of those things have really helped us. And so over time, in the 4 years that we've existed, we've actually, I think we've got a larger influence network, because we've had that opportunity to meet so many people, and we've had so many people come out of the woodwork to help us. So I like to think that I don't have a single primary instructor. I have a group of them that are constantly challenging how Kevin and I think about stuff, and making what we teach here better. And that's part of. We always want to be better. We always want to make our students better than we ever were. And we want them to surpass us and open up their own schools. Just like one of our students has his satellite school. If I have little satellites all over the Midwest, I would be thrilled. That would be wonderful. And I hope they are better than I ever was. That would be fantastic. That would be the right legacy.
I think that's
for us.
so important. And I don't, in other words, that just because you reach a plateau, whether it be instructor, black belt, whatever the nomenclature, you know what I mean, the title, rank, that's that you continue training, like that forever student mentality. Because if you're leading an organization, whether it be big, small, whatever, right, whatever the numbers, but if you're not training or leading by example or still getting new information, I think the death has begun. Because I'm always out there training, like whatever bird's got new, I'm in it, whatever, whatever's piques my interest. But that, and I think your students really appreciate when they see that you're not only are you providing information and relaying information, but you're also in the trenches. Like they see, like, wow, man, Dean's out there still. And I think that resonates with people, when they see that. And I just see, just through the years of doing that for my discussion, I just see there's a lot they're not doing anything. They're recycling and all that. And I don't it's just my opinion, of course, which doesn't really mean a lot, but I don't know if that's
Sure.
really good. I don't know, you know.
It's nice. It's nice to actually get to just sometimes be the student. I'm in
I
October. I'm
love
going to
it.
go. I don't know if you know Coach Jeff Berger in Boston, but he's got a camp that I'm going to in October there, and I get to just go and be a student, and because I don't know the things that he's teaching, and I get to just go and
Yeah.
learn. And somebody, I don't remember where I heard, but somebody, says that you need to train people who are below you in skill, equal to you in skill, and above you in skill. And so, when we bring these people into town for seminars, this is our chance to get to play with people who are above us in skill, who will push us and make us better, and put some pressure on us. We can't just coast through it. They're going to lean on us and force us to be better.
I think I heard someone say recently that they're at a stage in their training where they go to seminars, they go to camps, and they're kind of bored. They're not really learning much new, and they don't expect to acquire anything new. And I think that our philosophy, and we actually have these guiding principles for how we teach in our school, the 12 principles, and one of them is learn from everyone. And so I think that you have the opportunity, even if it's not new material, there's always going to be kind of a rotating, oh look, this angle now, oh look, that's a different way to think about it. You're going to make connections that you haven't made before, because I have learned so much learning from the newest people. Like when you're training people who are brand spanking new, and they will do something or say something or move a certain way, and you're like, oh, that never occurred to me. Or trying to explain it to them, you'll hit upon that one way that really matters to them, that'll resonate with them, because not everybody learns the same way, and you'll learn it a different way, and you're like, ah, or you'll make a connection that you didn't make before. So I think there's always value to keeping that learner's mindset, to always looking at, no matter who it is, brand new, training 40 years, everything in between, that you've got the ability, someone has got something to teach you, even if it's maybe you shouldn't do it that way. Even if it's that, it's fine. You're still learning.
We've learned a lot actually too, from our students, because like I said, we've got students here who have significant martial arts backgrounds. We've got Kempo, Shotokan, Aikido, Taekwondo, Krav Maga, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, military combatives, police defensive tactics, all that kind of stuff. And you'll be doing something with them, and somebody will show something, and you'll be like, oh, that's interesting. I had not thought of that. And we actually do, sometimes we'll have what we call laboratory time. We'll say, here's a problem, solve it. How you solve it, I don't care. Solve it your way. And then, we break them into pairs, and they go off and they do their thing. And then you say, okay, show everybody what you came up with. And it's amazing that, the creativity, or I'm 6 foot tall. I got pretty long arms. And people who are shorter than me will come up with different solutions to problems, and something I wouldn't have occurred to me. And so, we learn from them as well. And we let them know we learn from them as well. We tell them, look, just because you didn't learn from us doesn't mean it's wrong. And if you figure out something I've never seen before, show me. I want to see it, and then I'll steal it from you.
Yeah, I think
I'll give you credit.
Giving your students, or allowing them for self-discovery, I think is so overlooked. And Renee's making it funny. Dean teaches martial arts and cooking at his seminars. You wouldn't. No, they wouldn't want me cooking. I can guarantee you that they wouldn't come back. But Renee's just being funny. He's my co-host on Marshall and Matt. He's full dog brother, growling dog. He's he's a funny man. So yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. Like, I just think it's just to keep this going, like, just be not just so much for relevance, but like to be inspired. If you're inspired, I think you're more likely to inspire your students. If you're not being inspired, I don't know how you carry that over to your student body. I think there's a death that kind of happens, and Yeah, I love
I
being a
think that you're
student,
correct.
you know?
It's not just FMAs. I think it's a martial arts problem in
Oh, no, no, no,
general. I
no.
mean, you
Oh, yeah,
can
no,
tell
absolutely,
people who
100%. I'm not saying it's just, oh, yeah, absolutely.
you can tell people who do a certain part and then they never train with anybody who outranks them ever or appear ever again. And you can tell. You can absolutely tell.
And you have to find ways to keep doing the basic stuff, the beginner stuff over and over and over again, and not get bored
Yeah,
with
that's
it.
not,
I had somebody, who had the revelation that they're going to have to continue to teach the 12 angles of attack. And it's like, well, yeah, you are. And you're going to do it over and
because you
over
didn't
and
go out
over
and get
again,
anything else new.
and you have to find ways to self-engage. Because if you're not engaged, the students aren't going to be engaged either. So
And here I was thinking, invite Dean to come to Kansas City to Kinder Protective Arts, but now he's
See,
got
now he kind of
Renee's
ruined
got
it
me
for
thinking
like my
twice.
future, like requests being,
Yeah, I'm just
invited.
I don't.
Now it's, for
Maybe you can do that over in KCK, but we don't
yeah,
fly that
no,
way
I
on the
got
Missouri side. That's
no.
all I can
This
tell
is
you.
this could be counterproductive. That's yeah, he's a joy. He's okay. So here, just a little. We'll go off the track. But it sounds like you guys obviously you're having success, and yeah, you didn't open at the most optimum time, but you guys are making it work, which is obviously fantastic. Mostly adults, as far as kids, I would have never guessed that. So sounds like you guys got the right formula going on. What how overall, I sometimes I haven't asked this question in a while because I'm not doing FMA discussion as much. I'm still doing it, just doing that one day with Renee where we can go into other arts and etc. But so what do you think we can do
Sure.
overall to grow FMA? Like, because here it is, and I want to get your guys' opinion because of what you guys did during that time, and you got mostly adults. Like, what could you
Mhm.
suggest to others how to go about it? Those who might be interested.
I think that one of the things that we do here is that we're constantly trying to think about how do we serve the people who are interested in what we do or might be interested in what we do. So it's a service mentality. I think sometimes we get into it, I'm a super cool teacher, therefore you should be thrilled to train with me. And I think having a service mindset to the people who train with us, that's why people recommend, that's why we have so many recommended referrals from students, is because we try to put our community's needs first versus what Kevin and Jackie like. I mean, if we put what Kevin and Jackie like up front, we wouldn't have uniforms because I don't like them. We'd never teach the modernities años, and we have found those to be very useful for a significant chunk of my student body, even though I don't personally enjoy doing it. Having them has been very helpful, especially in COVID and post-COVID, but also it is an onboarding point for people who have a background in martial arts that do have forms. It's a place for them to feel competent while they feel incompetent when they're trying to do sticks and knives because it's so strange. I think that that's helpful. I think we need to be much better marketers, and we need to be noisy,
And
and we
marketing.
need to make it's and the thing, and I work really hard, and I know that there are hundreds, maybe thousands of people here in Kansas City who would love to train Filipino martial arts, but they still don't know I'm here. And it's just because I haven't done enough, and I'm constantly working on trying to do more and more. There's only so much money. So we're constantly working on those things. And say, I think all of us could try to think in terms of, all right, who is our target audience? Who do we think would benefit from training with us? I mean, this is kind of where the idea of how modern race spread in the United States is really kind of genius because it got to people who may not have had that connection otherwise. And it made those folk who have experience go, oh, I can do this too. I already know some of it. I mean, Professor says this stuff in the videos that I've seen. I'm a second gen. I didn't meet Remy Presses. I never met Great Grandmaster Ernesto. I never met those folk. I only know their students, and I only know what they left behind in terms of material. And I can tell you, Professor says over and over again, you already know this. You can already do this. And he's right. He's absolutely right. And so if you keep it in those terms and trying to make it really accessible to as many people as possible. And I think sometimes we lean into our martial side so heavy that it's scary and dangerous. And not everybody is down for being scary and dangerous. Not everybody can explain to their boss at their desk job why they're covered in bruises from head to toe, why they had to take a day off because sparring went too hard. I think there's a happy medium here. We don't always have to be one or the other. And I think we have to keep those things in mind when we're thinking about serving our students versus serving ourselves.
I think a couple of things. One, there are certain parts of the Filipino martial arts community that focus on the combatives side of things, and it can come across as pretty murdery, and that
blatantly illegal.
that throws some people off. That oh well, I wasn't really looking for how to cut somebody's throat, and so that pushing that aspect of it. I mean, just go start looking at the number of skulls that show up in FMA imagery, logos and things like that. I'm not saying you can't use those things or shouldn't use those things. I'm just saying that the message that sends to a lot of people is one that they're not going to be attracted to. Two, I think, we've got plenty of people who know FMA and teach FMA and have a martial arts school in a more, quote, traditional style like karate or taekwondo, right? They have a BJJ school and they have an FMA class. We need to stop treating FMA like it's the redheaded stepchild. Make it have more classes of it. Make it as big a part of your marketing push as you do the rest of your martial arts. You probably have students don't even know that you teach that sort of thing.
That's 100%.
If you're teaching it at your school, once a week or once a month, add more classes to the schedule. Make it a bigger portion of your website. Raise the profile. And then the other thing I think we've got to do is we need to be probably a little bit nicer to each other. A rising tide raises all ships. If rather than sniping, and honestly, it's not as I don't think it's as bad as it used to be, but I don't think that sniping at other FMA styles serves the FMA community as a whole, right? I think the more supportive we are of other styles, then like I said, a rising tide raises all ships. Somebody's going to come looking for you. Let's say they want to learn modernese, and you don't teach modernese; you teach some other style, right? They'll train with you. If you say, well, we don't teach modernese here, but we do teach this style, and I'd like an opportunity to show you that.
Give it a try.
You'd be surprised. I mean, because we had people come and say, I want to learn Kali. Well, I don't know Kali. I know, presses our knees, and I can show you that. And, occasionally you'll get somebody who's like, well, no, they only want to do, say, Inasano lineage Kali. Okay, if you're dead set on a particular style, I understand that. Good luck finding it,
Mm-hmm.
But I think the majority of people, they aren't.
Although if we know somebody, of course we'll refer. I mean,
we 100% will.
I've referred people all over the country to people who teach don't even are nowhere near a Presses family art, and I would rather people train any FMA than no FMA at all, regardless of what style it is.
Yeah, we have to look, just from FMA discussion for going on 6 years now, we have to work together better. I can tell you that's besides all the things you mentioned as far as getting the word out there, making it more inclusive in your classes. I mean, assuming that the instructor has a background in FMA to begin with, but it's also working together better. And, taking the passive aggression out, and just stuff that crosses on the back end my messages all pretty much every other day. That's in other words, what doesn't make out front and center. I mean, there's a lot of back end stuff going on. Just one of the things that surprised me after my second year doing this is just the amount of stuff I was getting on. And it's it still comes, but that right there, working together more, not
I think that we don't have to be pals in order to do that. You don't have to like someone on an individual level in order to still support the community as a whole. And if that sometimes means that the best person for a guy that needs to be referred is somebody that I don't like on a personal level, you know what? Then that's the best person. And we have to grow above those kinds of problems so that we can keep the mission front and center, which is, I personally believe that the Filipino martial arts should be the biggest martial arts in the world. It is the most fun. It is the best. It is versatile. It's intelligent in its training methodology. It's efficient, and it's accessible to everyone. There isn't a person on this planet that can't do something in the Filipino martial arts. And I love that about it. And I think that, regardless of whether you're doing Pikiti Tercia or you're doing Modern Arnis or Attilo or, Balletwax, all of its variants, what have you, Sayak or, Dog Brothers or whatever you're doing, it helps you to raise someone else, to support someone else, to refer someone else, to speak well of someone else. I think it would be better for us in the long run. The cheap shot, social media driven criticism in the long run hurts everyone, even people who aren't involved.
But I know. That's, what kind of back end stuff, Renee? Oh, Renee, we've had plenty of conversations. What
I have a feeling that Renee knows a lot about the back end, but I don't know.
You never know with him. So, what makes people want to train with you? Oh, a question from Maynard. All right, that's his question. What makes people want to?
Well, in the beginning, when they first come in, they don't know that they want to train with us. They just want to learn Filipino martial arts. I think what makes them want to train with us is that you start out, usually like this is very important. It's like your first class is that, you go through some fundamental stuff like a little bit of terminology, 12 angles of attack and that sort of thing. And then that, we have a 90-minute class. So the first hour, maybe that. And the last 30 minutes, we integrate them back into the main group. And we'll almost always end up doing something like really fun, like a disarm, right? And so they go in and they get shown some fundamentals, and then they get to do this disarm. And if nothing else, they walk out of school, oh man, I went and I learned this really cool disarm, right? And you introduce them to the other people. Our other students come up and introduce themselves. If Jackie or I can't work with them, we'll partner them with somebody that we know is a good person, seems like a good personality fit to work with them.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're the most advanced person in the room. We will try really hard to make sure that a new person is training with someone that they can connect to and relate with, and so they feel like they're not by themselves in this strange room with a bunch of people with weapons.
And we also put them you got to put them at ease too, because it's Filipino martial arts and we're swinging sticks, and it's like, I went to my first class and it cracked me upside the head with a stick.
Yeah.
That usually helps put them at ease a little bit, but you make them feel included. You address them by name. You recognize them as a person, and you teach them something fun. Right. And you get them integrated into your group quickly.
You follow up with them quickly. So after they do their trial class, you say, when are we going to see you again? Making sure that we want to see them again, and let them know that. And That follow-up is really important. And this is not unique to what we do. It's what smart business people do. When you have a new customer, especially this is a business, you got to follow up. You got to treat each person like they're super valuable to you, because they are.
Because when they come in, they don't know what cool locks and disarms, and all the coolest Vidaga stuff you can do. They don't know any of that, right? They just they don't really know much of anything usually when it comes to FMA. They know there's sticks involved and maybe knives. And it's not the things that they don't know who your grandmaster is. They don't know, and half the time they just don't care who your grandmaster is. They're the things that we think are so important. My style, my grandmasters. They don't care, right? Because they don't know those people, right? No, so it's about you as a person. That's who they're building this relationship with, not your grandmaster, live or dead. Not your teacher, live or dead. You. And so you have to treat them like a human being. You have to make them feel welcome and wanted. Like Jackie said, the follow-up. My God, when people reach out to you and they're interested in class, you follow up with them. And they come and they do a trial class. You
Absolutely, you better follow up with them.
People are really a lot of times not good at that.
Yeah. So everything we just said kind of boils back to that. We talked about it earlier about community and making it so that new people feel like they belong and that they want to hang out with us, and that they're going to feel safe and have fun doing so.
Then they'll get to see the cool stuff that you know how to do, and then they'll be even more interested in training with you. But if you can't get them to come back a second time, then you've lost your opportunity.
Yeah.
Right.
So Maynard's asking, what kind of insurance do you have to carry to have a weapon-oriented class?
Yeah, so there is the standard martial arts school insurance. They do have like a rider that is for Filipino martial arts. It's really not that much more expensive. We get our insurance once a year. And then when we had our camp, we did a camp insurance, just like other martial arts do. It's no different. It's just there's a rider for Filipino martial arts. But as long as you do not use your regular martial arts, you've got to have that FMA rider, because if you do not, and somebody gets hurt doing your FMA class and they sue you, it will not be covered.
In 4 years, we've never had anybody have to go to urgent care except for her.
Except for me. I broke my arm.
Interesting. I didn't know that though.
Yeah.
But other.
Yeah.
What's funny is that FMA insurance is less expensive than yoga insurance. There's more injuries in yoga than there are in Filipino martial arts.
Although it is interesting that the perception is that Filipino martial arts, and I think this is true in the martial arts world in general, weapon arts in general are more dangerous or somehow have more problems. What I think is actually the opposite. I think, especially, again, we train adults. I think people are very, very cognizant of the risk. And I will say that this horror stories I've heard from my friends who are primarily empty hand hearts, like Taekwondo, what have you, they get way more injuries, like big injuries than we get. Most we get is a purple knuckle now and then. I mean, that's just about it.
You get a bonk on the head once in a while, but broken fingers, broken toes, torn hamstrings, torn quadriceps, torn calf. We don't have.
It's just bone related. Oh my God!
Little scrapes more than anything.
Instagram,
yeah.
Oh boy, and master. God, this guy, Maynard. Thanks you. We have another one. This is from Phil. What do you attribute to people not coming back for a second class?
That is a great question. So just our onboarding process is that we have a free trial class. Then we have a 2-week paid trial and basically it's just to cover the cost of sticks. And then hopefully they will join as a member on whatever membership makes sense for them. So what makes people not come back? It's twofold. Number one, weapon arts just isn't for them. They don't want to do sticks. They just want to punch and kick. And I think there's people in this world who do that. I don't personally get it, but that is the majority. So I think that's part of it. Sometimes it's a matter of they can't make the they don't believe they can make the financials work for them. So it's not something that they can commit to financially. And then the third reason would be scheduling issues. They can do it, but they just can't meet the schedule. Now, I will tell you, we started our lunchtime Arnie's in the summer, which is our kind of like our slow time in terms of leads. We're starting already to pick up because September, October, November are some of our best months of the year in terms of leads and new students. It'll be interesting to see if that dynamic's going to change some, since now we have even more options for training during the week. I'm really hoping that does change. So I think that for us, that's what it is. I'm sure there's some people who just don't jive with us or jive with the school. I'm sure that's all.
I think
all the same.
I don't think we've ever had a problem with somebody like not wanting to train with us because we're not Filipino. But I have.
If they do, they didn't tell us. So
yeah, I have heard of people having had that experience, but that I'm aware of, nobody ever said, "Well, I want to train Filipino." But I suppose that's a possibility. I have had people come in because we're Filipino martial arts and we are known for sticks and knives. I've had people come in and saying, "Well, I'm primarily interested in learning knife," and I'm like, well, we do cover knife, but it is just a portion of the curriculum. You're not going to be doing it every class. And so they'll be like, okay, well, that's not for them. Then they just wanted to learn knife.
And that's okay.
Yeah, no.
We can't be, and we don't try to be all things to all people.
Exactly. Do you also have a punch and kick program?
Not a program. It is integrated into our normal curriculum. So we have classes where we do a lot of punching and kicking, and then we have classes where we don't.
We're big believers in bag work. So like if you should be able to punch and kick while holding a weapon, whether it's a knife, a stick, a gun, doesn't matter. You should be able to punch and kick holding a weapon.
Yeah, or just punch and kick if you can't grab anything at all. And we cover all of that stuff as a part of our normal curriculum. It's just like knife, all integrated into one big holistic whole.
So for the people that we have who do have extensive martial arts backgrounds, okay, here's your chance. Go hit something, and they can unleash those.
Go do
skills.
Your tornado spin side magic kick.
They spend a lot of time. They spend a lot of time and money earning those skills. And I respect those skills. We give them an opportunity to use those things.
Yep.
We'll say, you get to this point and hit them. How are you going to hit them? I don't care. Hit them your way, right? Whatever works for you if you've got prior skills. And then the people who don't have skills, then we have that conversation and we go through that piece of the training. Mm-hmm. But if there's people who are perfectly comfortable with their empty hand skills, and I'll say, well, okay, you can't do that anymore because we don't do that, right? And it's like, no, if you can make that work with, within your Arnis, then that's it. That's fine. That's why, eventually we're really big on this message to them that your Arnis is not going to look like mine or like Jackie's in the long run. We're going to teach you the things, and then you're going to adapt the things that make sense to you based on your body and your background, your experience. And we shouldn't all be homogenous. There's something wrong if we all look exactly the same, because we're not a homogenous population. And so but there are people that they don't know how to punch and kick, and you got to take time to show them. Now, I don't spend a ton of time on teaching them how to do a perfectly proper side kick. The kicks I teach are very limited. Same thing with striking. We don't spend hours going, okay, no, turn your knuckles another quarter degree that way. We don't get into that kind of minutia. We talk about these are the different ways you can hit somebody. These are the different targets that you can hit. And then, let them experiment with it and figure out what makes sense for them and what they feel comfortable with.
And similar caveats would apply to things like grappling. Neither Kevin nor I have a background in grappling. We do, however, do some. Of course, Modern East is big on takedowns because of his judo influences, but we do those things, of course, and then we will have times where we do some groundwork, but it's not going to be like a BJJ would. And so we do have students with a background in various grappling arts, and we do encourage them to, lean into those skills when they do or can go to the ground. So that's the answer is the same whether you're talking about grappling, you're talking about punching and kicking, different weapons, traditional swords, knives, sticks, all that stuff. It's all the same, which is something that Remy Presses was well known for saying repeatedly, that it's all the same, and he's right.
Yeah, no, it sounds like I can't believe you guys don't want robots. I mean, I can't believe you guys don't want everybody moving the same way. I can't wrap my head around that. I mean, what?
Well,
You're not from the Philippines?
Our teacher, our teacher, the way he told us was, he said, in karate and taekwondo, you learn what the art tells you, and you conform your body, you make your body do what the art tells you to do. And that in art East, the way we learned it, you learn the art and then you conform the art to you. And that's why, we're not super strict on, you must do this thing exactly the way I do it.
Yeah. And I think also because we teach adults, different, we have a wide variety of age ranges and different athletic abilities. There are some, I have my left hip was replaced in 2020. We have lots of people with replaced joints and sports injuries and injuries from having very physical jobs and all of those things. And so we have to work around all that stuff. And so that's, again, one of the beautiful things about what we do is that it can work around that stuff and really work for each individual. We can make that discovery and then hone in on those strengths so that each person can do what they can do versus what we require them to do.
No, absolutely. And let their strengths flourish, right? Wait, this isn't. Mm-hmm. No, this isn't. No. And we got Craig from Australia. Yes, absolutely, Craig. It will be downloaded and posted. Okay, I got one more question for you guys. If you could and had the time and the willingness and the desire, what other FMA style would you train in?
That's a tough question.
KI? KI? No, I'm not. I was not saying KI.
There's so many that I like.
KI would be actually, interesting because it is
more
play focus and
on the modern one. KI is a nice compliment.
Yeah.
I'm not. Just don't mind me.
Lightning Scientific, because I love the name.
Scientific.
Yeah, Lightning Scientific.
That is the best name ever.
Politics,
I have to say, I'm a little jealous of it.
You can go PTK, depending on who it is. And shame on me. Shame on me for even saying that.
Yeah, I have friends, of course, who train it, and we did have a little bit of exposure to it in Texas. Again, I respect so many. Sure. It's hard to name one. I enjoy a lot of them. I've had exposure to KI. I've had exposure to different varieties of Baletoa.
I've heard really good things about Rafi Pambuan
from Florida. Okay, yeah, he's a really nice guy. Interviewed. So really nice man. All right, give me two each.
I've heard really good things about him.
So we got Rafi and we got Baletoa. Am I correct?
And I think eventually I kind of need to go see, Dan Asano, just just because. Like Hawk says, he's the Elvis of FMA, and you should go see Elvis at least once. And so, and then my teacher, Art Miraflor, was friends with him and has known him for, a very long, long time. And, he's never had anything but just wonderful things to say about Dan. So.
Yeah. So Belinda Walk's going to be one of my answers as well.
So Belinda Walk and what?
You're going to make me pick?
So you said Belinda Walk and KI.
Okay. I know. I will. I would like to train more in Luz Vemenda, Arnis. I've been exposed to it with Ricky Lazo.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
And I have friends in it. And
so what was that called?
No,
I'm sorry. The name of the style. I'm sorry.
Luz Vemenda. Huh. Luz Vemenda, Arnis.
New one to me.
I think I'm going to pick Vemenda because I like it's very different than what we do, but it's close enough that I think that it would expand my universe in a way that every time we get a time to train with Grandmaster Lazo and with his folk, we have an expansion of the way we think about things. So I like the way that it fits in well. It's different, but not so different it wouldn't be difficult to integrate.
Coach Jenny says KI, so I'm going to have to agree with him. But just kidding.
Well, there you go. I guess I'm forced to it. I have a feeling I'm going to have all these KI guys show up. KI and PTK guys are going to show up at our school. They're going to go storm us. You will train with us right now. Here's a sword. Go.
No,
I don't know of any. I've heard that there's graffiti people in Kansas City, but I've never seen them.
I don't know.
I don't know if there's any KI people in Kansas City. There's some other styles. Like a friend of ours, he doesn't have a name for his style. He learned from different people in the Philippines, and so he learned sticks from one guy, knife from another guy, empty hand from another guy. So
we got Bahalana here. Combaton.
You got Bahalana in Kansas City? Here.
Yeah. We do?
I would never guess. I would never guess. Wow.
It's one guy in the park. Yes, we do.
This guy out in Kansas. Yeah. Great guy, too.
Wonderful people. Yeah.
What's the name?
Really nice folk. So
everybody that we've met in FMA has been great.
It is escaping me at the moment. I knew you were going to ask me that question, and my mind is completely blanking.
I'll look it up.
He's probably watching this right now going,
And
Rich is right.
We haven't seen him in a couple of years.
I can't hear you. Rich, I can't. I don't hear you, Rich. Rich there's another great guy, Rich.
Yeah, we'd love to have. Actually, last time I saw Rich, I told him we'd like to have him come to Kansas City.
Yeah, we would love to have him.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, guys, awesome, man. I appreciate you guys coming on, and thank you for reaching out. Folks, if you're watching this, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll bring you on. I just haven't been as FMA discussion centric as in the past, but doesn't mean I won't bring you on. So if you reach out to me like they did, I'll make it happen. So I just think.
And maybe we'll touch base in 4 years.
On episode 1032.
September 1st, 2029. We will talk to you again.
I just feel people think that I'm not doing this anymore. What it is I did go through a lot of people and all that, but it doesn't mean I won't bring people back on or, so folks, if you just reach out to me. Yeah. Doesn't mean I won't do it or I'm not doing it anymore. Just I felt that I didn't want to become boring. So, but yeah.
And I really do want to extend an invitation. Our door is wide open, and we would love to, if you are in town, in the Kansas City area, and you want to just come and visit, come hang out with us, come train a little bit. We'll go eat after, hang out. We would love to have you. We are always excited to meet people who train, and we're always looking to share.
And likewise, when our students travel, they'll ask, hey, do you know somebody in the city? So, if we find that you're in that city, we may reach out to you and say, hey,
that's right.
Do you accept drop-in students?
Yeah, absolutely. The folks that are seeing that, but Yeah, we can let. I don't know. I can't believe the person still calling me, and I just sent a message on an interview. But at any rate, that's the noise you're hearing in the background. I apologize. And they're still calling. Oh, they stopped finally. Okay. Yeah. I think someone should be the first to bring. So Maynard is saying that he should be the first to bring Kali Dynamics to your area.
Well, I guess he should come visit.
Just saying.
We'll get some decent barbecue.
Yeah, that barbecue.
We'll get some decent barbecue and we'll hang. That sounds
That barbecue was pretty good. Well, hey, appreciate you guys coming on. I'm glad things are working out well for you. And yeah, so big thanks again. Any final words for the FMA community?
Get noisy. I really want to see more and more of you guys out in our feeds, and I really hope for success for everyone. The more we all grow, the better it is for all of us.
Go start your own training group if you don't have anybody else to train with.
That's right.
Somebody has to be the first one to go do it.
2 guys in a park is how we started, and here we are now.
2 people in a park, and look where you're now. That's perseverance, man. That's wow. Good on you guys. Well, hey, I wish you continued success, and yeah, don't hesitate to hit me up in another 4 years.
We'll see you in 2029.
All right.
Thanks, Dean.
You guys take care. All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. And that wraps up episode 518. Yeah, seriously, folks, just let me know. I'll bring it back on. But who is next? Wednesday, Marshall Med could be somebody really interesting. I'm just waiting to hear from Renee to solidify that. Next on FMA discussion, Lalo, who won the Weed Calf Champions out there from Mexico. He's supposed to get back to me, but I told him I would bring him on, cover it. So that's kind of what's coming up. But as always, you'll see it pinned, featured in FMA discussion, where you can find out what's happening and when it's happening. And until then, thank you for watching, and I will see you then.